Welcome to the CMS Cuts 2023 weekly update. I'm Roderick Tung, and this is Heart Rhythm TV. It's been a very busy week again. We're working feverishly around the clock with Heart Rhythm Society, Capitol Council, and all the grassroots efforts, which is building momentum. Here is the rundown. Pat Blake joins Jody Hurwitz and talks on advocacy and action about this strong position to make sure we listen to the membership and protect the interests of all members. This has been clearly voiced and heard, and we appreciate Heart Rhythm Society's advocacy. Please tune in on Heart Rhythm TV. The Heart Rhythm CMS Task Force continues to meet every Wednesday, led by Jody Hurwitz and DJ Lockeretti, to be able to listen to the strategic advice of Capitol Council, Washington, D.C. based, about targeting specific patient advocacy groups and specific congressional members. We have now had calls based on individual interactions. Eric Cerulnik from Nevada reaching out to Titus's office, calling and working in advocacy. These grassroots efforts are paying off. They continue to give us guidance and continue to work in a very targeted fashion on the Hill. Grassroots efforts continue to be very successful. The EPAF, the Advocacy Foundation for EP, led by Scott Greenberg, continues to independently raise funds to be able to support a second lobbying group, Actum. One of the results of this was House Representative Carbajal discussing today of an opposition letter to CMS from California, led by Brett Gidney's efforts. This is incredible, the opportunities and the work of the EPs, and hopefully this will inspire all local EPs to continue engaging talks with the congressman. I had the privilege of speaking with Mark Kelly's office to be able to talk to them about the beauty of our field, the importance of it on patient access and impact on outcomes in our U.S. healthcare system this morning. Stay tuned for more on that. And lastly, we want to thank Chris Liu and Amit Shankar, Mark Schoenfeld for their continued work with our policy committee. It's very clear that there will be a comment letter official from Heart Rhythm Society, but we have to have a specific ask beyond just fair reimbursement, which we're all aligned on. So the policy and the position is clear, but the specific asks are being delineated. We continue to align with ACC to make sure these asks are as similar as possible. With current, the divide is that Heart Rhythm Society members are asking for reimbursement at the level that is consistent prior to both cuts, whereas ACC appears to be advocating for just preventing the current proposed cuts for 2023. Last, we continue working with patient advocacy groups. The patient stories are critical for raising awareness on the value of catheter ablation, how it affects our advocacy, how it affects our underrepresented groups, the socioeconomically disadvantaged, and it may amplify racial disparities. The current position came out today in email as well, the strong position of not accepting either of the two cuts and wanting more discussion and congressional input to be able to get us fair reimbursement. This is in an email, and an issue brief, which is a one-pager, is there for your resource. We hope to continue working around the clock on this. I want to thank all grassroots, Capitol Council, Actum, and the Heart Rhythm Society leadership and all the different subcommittees for their continuing efforts to work tirelessly around the clock. Thank you. When you dedicate your life to impacting the global burden of arrhythmias, it's really important that we have our advocates with us as well, and those are our patients. Never is the treatment of arrhythmias more relevant than when you suffer from arrhythmia yourself. I am so pleased to be joined on this segment of Voices by Mellanie True Hills, our founder and CEO of StopAF.org. Welcome, Mellanie.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tung. It's an honor to be here with you.
From one arrhythmia patient to another, would love to hear about your story, how AFib entered your life.
So I was just, minding my own business. Actually, I think I was off, in my office pulling email one morning when all of a sudden my heart started racing and skipped a beat and just started doing really crazy stuff. And long story short, went to the emergency room and they said I had atrial fibrillation, which I'd never heard of at the time. They sent me home with, an anticoagulant and said, you'll be fine. But I wasn't fine. It was quite the adventure. So after about 22 months, I decided that I couldn't live with the uncertainty of having my INR ping pong all the time and feeling like I was walking around waiting to have a stroke. So I had a surgical ablation procedure and have been AFib free for almost 17 years now.
So 2005 was a quite formative year in your life, and
Yes.
that empowered you and invigorated you to start this organization, which is really a patient-to-patient resource, stopaf.org. Tell us a little bit about developing it, leading it, and being the CEO of stopaf.org.
Well, and thank you for asking. Once I was AFib free, I knew that I couldn't stand on the sidelines and watch other people suffer like I had. So I said, somebody needs to do something. Well, it might as well be me. So I started stopafib.org to help those living with AFib to get their lives back too, like I had. So it's been an interesting journey along the way. We had the opportunity to get to know many in HRS and to be involved and work together. And so it's been a collaboration over the years with HRS. And it's been a real privilege to work with HRS and to invite our faculty for our patient conference from the membership of HRS and to work together on so many projects together. And we're truly a global organization with our website translatable into over 100 languages and traffic from more than 200 countries each year.
The partnership has been fantastic. You're even an advisor to HRS, and we deeply appreciate that collaboration, even now more than ever, as so many members don't always see what goes on behind the scenes. It's great to see your face and hear your voice, because part of the battle versus these CMS cuts is to obviously look at the value of ablation beyond how long it takes the physician to perform it. And the value is all behind patient stories. It's behind patient access. We're worried that once they start cutting this field, the incentive to specialize in this beautiful, very elegant and refined field is almost gone, because then the reimbursements may actually be less than those that do non-invasive cardiology, our partners. What do you think about the idea that all these patients that are following will it be a quick loss of access? Will it be drastic? Will disparities further widen?
Right. So it's a really concerning area. First of all, we have been an advocate for early rhythm control for a lot of years. In fact, Dr. Pristowski and I, he's a member of our Global Medical Advisory Board, as well as our board of directors. He and I decided about a decade ago that early rhythm control was one of the ways to help prevent strokes. And so I joined the campaign that he was starting called Preserve the Brain. So we've been early rhythm control advocates for a long time and have shared with patients that it's best to get something done early while you can still do it, rather than waiting and then it being much harder to fix. So our concern is that catheter ablation is so crucial for AFib patients. And if doctors are disincentivized from doing procedures because of these huge cuts, then there will be fewer doctors, fewer EPs that want to do the procedures. And further, there'll be fewer coming into the field because they'll feel like it's not as lucrative as what they're interested in, and they're disincentivized from doing it as well. So this is a huge concern for us, especially with patients who are at risk of a stroke. And AFib patients are very much at risk of a stroke. Not having rhythm control can, create the opportunity for strokes to be more pervasive, especially an issue with disparities, because Blacks and Hispanics are much more at risk of stroke. And therefore, it's a real disparities issue as well.
And also compromised from fair access for a multitude of reasons, that they disproportionately have lower rates of ablation.
Exactly.
Well, Mellanie, tell us what stopafib.org is doing right now, feverishly with Heart Rhythm Society, in terms of rallying around this campaign for fair reimbursement.
Right. So we've been concerned since last year when the cuts were discussed for, this year. And so we actually mobilized about 500 patients to comment to CMS last year. We're even more concerned this year because the cumulative cuts, hearing that it could be as much as 40% cumulative cuts across a couple of years, that's really significant. So we will be mobilizing the AFib patient community to comment on the situation, what the potential impact to them could be, and what our patient concerns are. Stroke is devastating for patients. So being in rhythm, getting in rhythm and staying in rhythm is really important for patients. And so this is something that they will be extremely concerned about and will want to tell CMS what their concerns are about it. So we'll be mobilizing patients in the next week or so to comment to CMS on this.
Well, Mellanie, thank you so much for taking the time. Your story is inspiring. It's empowering. Your leadership to be able to steer the stopaf.org, the largest, website and resource, patient resource ever for atrial fibrillation. This is a huge success. Congratulations. You represent so many voices on Voices here today, and thank you for joining our show.
Thank you.